An alarming revelation from Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
More than 300 people, according to the FBI, who came here as refugees are under an FBI investigation today for potential terrorism-related activities.
Well, the news came just moments after President Trump signed a new executive order on immigration. So even with a renewed anti-terror stance, are we still in trouble? Joining us now with his reaction, Executive Vice President with the Center for Security Policy, Jim Hanson. Thank you first for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Good to see you, Heather.
So, Jim, you weren't really surprised to hear this news.
It didn't surprise me in the slightest. We've known all along that there was a threat. Well, you know, ISIS claimed they were going to start sending refugees or infiltrators in among the refugees a while ago. They've been doing it, and obviously they've been successful in getting them in there. So the idea that there was no threat, which was one of the things that the Ninth Circuit Court put in their ruling to halt President Trump's first executive order, was absurd. There is a problem, and this executive order now addresses that problem and was vital for our national security.
Yeah, and as we close in and they lose their caliphate overseas in the Middle East, where do they go?
And they're coming here. There's no question about that. They'll continue to try and come here in larger numbers. And the idea that the Ninth Circuit Court put forth that somehow the President of the United States, who is charged by the Constitution with our national security, should have to convince every liberal activist judge in the United States that his judgment that these 6 states now present a national security threat if we allow migrants to come there before we can learn how to vet them. There's no way to do that. It would be absurd. That's a complete overreach. And now we need to return to the president's authority, clearly outlined in the law, to keep us safe.
Let's talk about that new executive order on the refugees, and we can show people at home some of the main points. It suspends refugee entries for 120 days. It lifts indefinite ban on Syrian refugees, and then it caps the number of refugee entries a year to 50,000 versus 110,000 under the Obama administration. So how will the new executive order help?
Well, they took away some of the things that the courts had claimed were a reason to give someone standing to sue. You know, that it applied to permanent visa holders and other folks. Now it applies only to people outside the United States who don't have a visa, so they have no rights in the United States. And they've basically said that we're going to stop states where we don't have any idea who are the good guys and who are the bad guys and can't trust them. These 6 failed states, we're not going to take any migrants or refugees from them until we put in vetting procedures that actually can tell us who's who.
And because of those countries themselves have no vetting process or one that they can depend on, and that is why we are told Iraq came off of the list. Is that a good idea?
It is. Iraq is an ally. We've done a lot of work with them. I think there were also considerations that there are a lot of folks there who helped us in our war efforts. You know, interpreters and their families who might have been affected by this. So I think removing Iraq, where we do have a fair amount of influence with the government, made sense as well. The other states we cannot trust, and they are chock full of jihadists and people who shouldn't be coming to the United States. So stopping that is a legitimate national security function, and we should not have liberal judges overseeing the president and substituting their judgment for his about what is and is a good way or is not a good way to keep us safe.
Yeah, Jim, thank you so much for joining us. It really is amazing when you listen to those statistics. Nearly a third of the 1,000 domestic terrorism cases that are being investigated come from people who came from in the refugee program. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure, Heather.